next, getting faded till I'm gone, dude. I do what I want, couldn't stop me if you wanted to. I just work hard, yeah, harder than the rest. Some people say I'm lucky, others saying that I'm blessed. But I keep my head down, cause I crave progress. You ain't never gonna stop me, cause it's my conquest. And I'm never gonna rest, yeah. And y'all don't know that I'm a soldier. I always felt like I'm alone, yeah. When everybody thinks they know, yeah. And y'all don't even know I own, yeah. And now I'm ready taking over, cause every day I'm getting closer. Just look at everything I'll show ya. And now I'm ready, I'ma blow up. Yeah. I throw up, and if you cross me, it was good to know ya. I'm impatient, I don't ever slow up. I stay young, no, I never grow up.
We are live. Good evening, everybody. What's going on out there in the world? What are you guys doing? Hey, you guys, quick commercial real quick. Gotta grab this call.
Oh, what's that? You noticed? My fishing gloves? No, those are cool. Yeah, those are the new Heathen Squad socks for sure, folks. I'll tell you, my fishing day couldn't get any better. I got my gloves, and I got my socks. HeathenSquad.com.
All right, guys, sorry about that. I had to take that call as my little man. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Let's give a shout out to the chat. Check this out, guys. Look at this. We got Mark Pappas, Kristen J, Robert Sharp, Skrilla's in here. What's up, you guys? What are you guys doing? How about that, huh? We got a little chat, and it's movable. Looky here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Guys, I started doing a bunch of fun stuff. So now when we hang out and I start looking over here, it's going to give the presumption that I'm looking at all you guys right here. And I can point out people like Kristen J and Mark Pappas and Skrilla. Look at that. Look at that, you guys. I can point you out. That's pretty cool, huh? I can get rid of it, too. Look at that. Boom. It's gone. So, yeah. What's new, guys? We're going to talk about fall fishing today. This is going to be pretty exciting. We're going to talk about a few things. Going to change up a little bit of style here. We're going to get into this thing a little bit early, make this thing happen. So guys, it's that time of year. It's fall. I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Everything's getting ready to shut down, but, and I say this with all the love, you guys, we are coming into a really interesting time of year as far as the fishing goes. This is right before that spawn season where all the magic happens and the big girls come out to play. And if you like them big, it's getting ready to come into that time of year where they're going to start fattening up, and some of these really big fish are going to start showing themselves, boys and girls. Let me tell you, guys, are we super stoked? We got some fun to do tonight. Let's give a shout again. Let's see who all's hanging out. Look at that. Scott made it in. Look, guys. There's Scott right there. Thanks, Scott. Pointed out. Sup? Nothing, man. What are you doing, man? You guys been doing all right? Has anybody, let's give a little shout in the chat. Has anybody been fishing? 1, if you've been fishing. 2, if you haven't been fishing. If you've been fishing and you watched the show after the live, leave a comment down below and let me know if you've been fishing. Because I got a question, guys. Have you tried that app? Have you tried the app? I'm just going to be honest. I have, and it's been telling me not to go fishing right now. Not where I'm fishing. It's telling me to avoid fishing, kind of like the plague. Don't go near it. It's not worth it. There's nothing really exciting going on right now. Let's see. Oh, Robert says no, still dealing with Ian. Yeah, Scott, that's roughed up, man. That's rough for Scott down there in South Florida. Yeah, I didn't think anybody'd had a chance to go fishing. Honestly, it's that time of year, man, where we're really waiting for something exciting to happen. And I know down here in the South. Oh, yeah, that's right. Punta Gorda. I forgot, Scott. I forgot, man. Northeast is cold now already, huh, Skrilla? Well, tonight we're gonna learn some stuff, guys. We're gonna dip into Obago knowledge and the things that we've talked about and discussed on the channel. We're gonna kind of put everything together and see if we can't change you guys' luck here during this winter or fall. I know some of you northerners, it's gonna be ice fishing season. There's no change in that. I don't have too many ice fishing tips other than keep your rod up, you know what I mean? But for the guys that are down here in the South, where it doesn't get straight iced over, we can lock into some good sized fish this time of year, guys. We're going to talk about, hey, look at that, Mark. What's up, Mark? Look, I can point out Mark down here. That's not necessarily bad, though. Coastal river fish and stripers can be active, though. Yes, they can. Moving water is going to be a good transition right now, about now, Skrilla. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's also going to play into some of the stuff that we talk about tonight, guys. So let's get right into it, guys. What are we talking about when we talk about fall transition? Well, we got a lot of things, okay? We've got higher water temperatures that are going to have overnight lows that are going to change the water temperature. So you're going to have those sudden and abrupt temperature changes where, you know, if you're pushing 86, 88 in the day, and then you're looking at 42 to 46 in the evening, morning bite, boys and girls, can get real interesting, and it's going to work one of two ways. So we're going to talk about how this whole thing's been playing out and why we've discussed this train of thought that we've developed as far as the app and all that stuff that we've been talking about and why we've been talking about it. So without further ado, boys and girls, let's get into some baits. Let's get into some baits, guys. Well, first of all, let's discuss what the fish are doing. So we know one thing, guys. If we learned one thing from the app, and we learned one thing from high and low pressure in the last episode, one of the things that we have learned, or previous episodes, one of the things that we've learned, guys, is when the pressure's low, the bass go shallow. Let's not forget that. Pressure low, shallow. Now, how does that depending on where you live, let's be honest here. Depending on where you live is going to determine what the fish are going to be doing all the time. What I mean by that is in your northern cities or your northern lakes, one of the things you're going to notice is that even though the pressure's low, those bass are not pushing into the shallows. They're just not. It's way too cold in the shallows. They'll put themselves into shock. The bait's avoiding that. It's a lethargic area. Only some of your hardier fish are going to that direction, your catfish and things like that. And they're probably staying more deep as well because there's a more constant and stable temperature lower in the water column. Okay, so now that we've discussed lower in the water column equals stable, you know, more controlled water temperatures, let's talk about the southern lakes, because I think that's a really good place to start. When we get those cold to warm transitions, we could have that magic hour. And when I talk about that magic hour, boys, what's going on, Ice? Hey, Ice didn't see this yet, guys. Let's show him. Look, Ice, I can point your little there's Ice's message right there. There's the Iceman with his blue face. Yeah, see, I have a thing about the when the YouTube chat comes up and I put something in the chat, I don't like mine coming up yellow, so I changed all the yellows to blue. So the important people like Kristen J, who's running over here with the wrench, she's going to be in like gold now because her name was originally blue, but then I changed it. I wanted it to be I wanted it to stand out a little bit different because you know me, I like my blues. So guys, all right, back to what we were talking about. So what we want to talk about, guys, is we want to talk about the fish itself, the movement of the fish, the mentality of the fish. As the fall transition starts to set in, we're going to have down here in the south, like where I live, we just had a recent cold front come through right after Ian came through. So we had a good solid 4 or 5 days with like 42, 44 in the morning, pushing a high of like 74 in the afternoon. Now the water temperatures, because a lot of our lakes are spring fed, they can maintain constant temperature here in Central Florida. Around Central Florida, again, depth becomes what your temperature is based on. So you're going to find that majority of species of fish that require those kind of warmer temperatures, or at least stable temperatures, are going to push towards deeper areas of the lake. Down here in Florida, we have a lot of those transitions from the deep to the shallow might only be 12 to 15 yards. Hint, hint, guys. 12 to 15 yards. If that stretch of maybe 20, 30 yards, that's a good one too. Into a shallow, maybe a ledge, guys, that's where you're going to start making magic happen. Because again, as the low pressure, fish go shallow, low. Just think that. High pressure, deep. High pressure, deep. That's where they're going to end up. Deep, on structure, in cover. That's, again, we're starting to piece this whole thing together, guys. Now, this is still going to apply in the fall transition. The only thing that's going to change is the presentation. Fish are not going to be getting crazy when the cooler temperatures hit. When those water temperatures start getting down below, 74, 76, 60 degrees, and your southern fish, they're locked up. Your northern fish, they're still pretty active, not as active, but it's as if the entire ecology of the water just totally slows down. Everything seems to be that much slower. One of my favorite things to do is like watch those underwater ice fishing camera guys, just to see how slow those fish swim up and just, you know what I mean? They just and eat whatever's in front of them. It's not even violent looking. It's just very slow and methodical, as if to expend the least amount of energy that the fish possibly have. So, guys, watching those behaviors like we have been the last couple of episodes and for the time that we've been doing this, the one thing that I really, really like to do in the wintertime, guys, and I'm going to show you now. Jerk baits, suspended baits, Rapala countdowns, Rapala rip stops, something that's not just going to continuously jump to buoyant once you stop reeling. And what I mean by that, guys, are some of your square bills. I'll get a couple of these out as soon as I unprick my finger. Ow. Square bill crankbaits. This is a pretty neat one. This is a live target 3D. It looks like a little school of minnows jumping around there, guys. Now this thing stays 3 to 5 feet. Again, because things are slowing down, guys, is that burn it presentation going to be as effective? Probably not. Medium, slow, that's going to be where your fire's at right now. What's going on, Faye? Gigging flounders. Nice. Faye made it, guys. Congratulations, Faye. We caught you last week, too, so that was a lot of fun. Oh, wait. We got to do it. We got to do it. Faye's in here. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of nerding out. Hey, guys, look. There's Faye right below ice. This is a tough spot. There's Faye, and there's ice. All right, so, again, guys, like I was saying earlier, one of the things we want is we want longer presentation time in the fish's, I guess you could say, depth. The fish are going to stay in certain depths at this point is what I'm getting at, guys. You're going to have fish that are going to be less likely to be up towards the top. You're going to find fish are between 3 and 5 foot, depending on the water clarity, because the clearer the water, I know this is going to sound interesting, guys, dirtier water warms up faster. And it's only because of the particulate that is in the water that absorbs the heat via sunlight, radiant energy. So your cleaner water this time of year could be a bit of a grind, because the next issue that you're going to have is your strike zone presentation. How are you going to keep that bait in a strike zone in an area that fish is looking, depending on the exterior water temperature? You know, when I say exterior, I mean above the water, not actually the water, not the exterior of the water, the ambient outside air. That's what I'm getting at. Big words and all, you know what I mean? So what you want to do, guys, is if you are going to search clear water, my advice to you is natural. And what I mean by that is you're looking at stuff like the old Rapala, boys. Just the standard Rapala minnow. Nothing crazy. Doesn't need any noise. If it's got a little noise, that's fine too. This is a Rapala rattling minnow, one of my favorite ones. And is it Rapala or Rapala? I'm not quite sure. You guys could probably tell me. Since they don't pay me, I really don't care how I say it, you know. But again, great bait, guys. Am I using everything with some type of rattle? Yes and no. Yes and no. It's just going to depend. Again, if it's low pressure, I won't really need the rattle. I'll just need a really good presentation. I'm giving 1-2 pops real good on the reel. I'm giving it a second. Taking in a little bit of line slack and 2 more, maybe 1. Just I'm off cadence, you know. I'm trying to get that thing to give the presentation as if it was little swim, 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 little swim, 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 float up. Now I say float up, guys, because let's do this. Let's do this like this, okay? So here we go, guys. Right. So this thing came across here. All right, pull, and it kind of comes down and it wiggles. All right, so here's fish. Fish sees it. Pull. Still looking. Pull. He's still looking. Pull and stop. Now, these baits have a natural tendency to go up and back. So we know bass, their eyes look what direction? Up or down? We all know they look up. So it's kind of like a 20-degree angle and plus. So as this thing begins to float up and back, like the standard Rapala does, that's right in the strike zone. Once that bass gets an idea of that eye, it has a pretty good idea of where its head is. It's game over, dude. It's game over. And that's one of the things you're going to find out about the fall transition. A lot of people hook up with a lot more fish during the fall transition, and they're like, yeah, I was just on it. And in reality, it was just because they were in that medium to slow retrieve style year round, had trouble during the summer. They just couldn't really speed themselves up like they wanted to. But then come that fall transition, this guy's going pro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he already spent his kid's college fund because he bought the boat of his dreams. Because from this point out, I'm just hammering bigs. You know, I'm just hammering bigs. Yeah, see, small water charters. Oh, look at this. Hey, John, look, I'm going to put this on there. Hey, guys, look, there's John with small water charters right there. And John says, I agree. Always been Rapala, not Rapala. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, John. Maybe it's just the Walmart shopper in me, but for some reason, that seems to be the way I've always said it. You know, I can't do nothing about that. I don't know. Like I said, they don't pay me. But guys, again, back to what we were talking about. Now, one of the next things you're going to find out, guys, is there all the hundreds of different stick baits and jerk baits and things like that, okay? Now, what we want to look at when we're looking at different baits and depths on the baits is the nose. What does the nose look like? So this particular plastic nose has a little concave. And what does concave mean, boys and girls? That means it's in. Remember, convex means up. Concave means in, like a cave runs in the ground, right? But not very big on the scoop. So this thing's going to travel down maybe 3.5 feet max. It might push 4 if I'm doing the old bend down on the knee and jerking it through. But realistically, not looking at anything more than 4 foot. Okay, then we went over to this one here, right? This Evergreen International in the Wasabi or whatever it was called. This thing's pretty neat. But again, we've got the same concave, about the same size. So we know this thing's going to end up 3 to 5 feet. This is a pretty good bait for 3 to 5 feet. Next thing I want to show you guys is a little something I picked up over the years. And that is the mid to deep diving jerk baits. Those usually come with a lot bigger bill. I mean, if we look at it comparatively, if we look at the bill on this this 10 plus as opposed to this standard, I mean, we're talking almost 3/4 of an inch greater, which is interesting, you know. But then again, oh, I banged that thing. Sorry, guys. 3/4 of an inch greater, which means we're probably realistically looking at anywhere between 4. You know, this thing is sit around 5-6 feet easy with a good bunch of pulls. I can end up putting it down at maybe 8, 9, 10 feet. If I'm down on my knee and I'm really giving it the love, I could get 10, 11 foot, I'm sure. I wouldn't want to, but in the event that I had to, that's a really good jerkbait technique that'll allow for that slow cascade back up. You might just come across the fish's face. Hey, Coastal Fever, I didn't get a chance to show Coastal Fever this. Look, guys, Coastal Fever's in here. Coastal Fever TV making his debut this evening. Bruiser Bait makes a fantastic jerk bait called the Banger 110. I'm going to look into that, John. I am really, really excited about looking into the new baits for this season. We're in the middle of the trolling motor, as we all know, boys and girls. Still haven't made the order. Kind of up and down on who I'm going to order it from. Shipping charges are different from every company. So you know me, I'm cheap. So I'm not spending any more money than I have to. Guys, now I'm going to talk to you about something that's a little bit interesting. Because now that I've showed you some different style baits, I'm going to show you another style that I like to go to. And this is kind of interesting because we've talked about 10 foots. We've talked about 3 to 5s now. I want to tell you guys about another interesting category of jerk baits that a lot of people won't really look at, but it's the 1 to 3s. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Jay, man, where I live, there's no such thing as 1 to 3. You know, it's just not working for me. Oh, look at John. John throwing it up in the chat there for those of you guys watching. John's hooking it up right here, boys and girls. You can save 20% at Bruiser Baits with the promo code SWC20. Look at that, fans. All y'all out here in Beards and Basses world looking for a little tackle talk and savings. Old John with Small Water Charters hooking it up. John, appreciate that, bud. All right, guys. So now, 1 to 3 foot jerk baits, guys. Usually a 3-inch presentation. It's not the biggest thing you've ever seen, but this thing won't go down deeper than 3 foot. And the reason I'm talking about baits like this is a lot of us in the southern, down here in the southeast, and some of y'all in the northeast, y'all deal with more rocks. Your vegetation is more either top dwelling or deep dwelling. You're not like us down here where we have our vegetation. It grows up 6, 7, 8, 20, 30, 40 feet. I mean, it gets out of control down here. So, but one thing you will notice in the wintertime, if with proper management, is you can get yourself a 1 to 3 foot barrier, usually a good 1 to 3 foot above that drilla in the winter, which gives like a fantastic presentation area for those fish that are sitting deeper, using the cover of the drilla, the hydrilla, the natural vegetation to stay hunkered down low where the temperatures are more constant and more stable, and they just peer up through holes and watch. And I will tell you, this little bait right here in the wintertime, I know you guys rag on me, little baits. Let me tell you something. This is a very natural size this time of year, especially in that fall transition, because the shiners are now starting to grow in again. We're getting another cycle, another life cycle right before the big feed up. I might be wrong. I got a pretty good feeling I might be right.
Ice says you'll probably pull a body up in Jersey if you go deep, huh, Ice? Well, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Guys, I want to tell you a little something. I'm going to talk to you about something I know a lot of you don't think to try. And I know it's going to sound really, really interesting. And a lot of people, they think I'm odd when I say that I switch up to this type of fishing in the winter. Now, this is really for us southerners. And when I say southerners, I mean your southeastern states, probably even more southern than Georgia here real shortly. Because as this next couple of fronts set in, if that first front was any indication of what the winter's going to be like, and we're at a 7-day with the 44, 42, 46, woo, we're going to get chilly this winter, okay? But guys, what's really neat about living in the South, and I'm sure all you guys could vouch for this that fish in South Florida. Wind has been from the north over a week. Okay, let's hear. John's going to give us some insight. He's been out on the water, and that's important. John says wind has been from the north for over a week. In the morning at 2 a.m. it starts turning. By 5 p.m. it will be coming in from the southwest. We're spending the day at Donkeyland. See that? John makes a very, very, very good point right now. When you have these transitions from north winds, now you really this becomes successful fall transition fishing becomes the science. This is where in the winter, in the summertime, boys and girls, as we all know, you can sling it. You can sling it. You know what I'm saying? Frogs, jerkbaits, flukes, jackhammers, you name it, boys and girls, unless there is rain setting in or it's prefrontal, postfrontal, it's all about about speed, 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 speed. Water temperatures are high, fish are aggressive. They know they got to be aggressive because they've got to do transitions from deep to shallow water depending on water temperature, because it's life or death in the summer. Is it in the winter? Not so much, but they're more temperamental to it, and we're going to talk about why that is. So it gets a little bit interesting, okay? So here we go, guys. Let's get back to it now. One thing that I learned in Florida, and I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but see if it applies to you guys in the northern states as well. As that first sun breaks and you start to notice that it's a very drastic temperature shift. If you're like me, and I know a lot of you guys are, you get out there first thing in the morning, okay? And it is a different temperature from first thing in the morning till an hour and a half into that trip, maybe 2 hours into that trip. That's the moment I'm talking about, is when you're coming onto that first light and you start to feel that first warming sensation. The thing that I've been told, and this is for each of you to find on your own. I took the heat. I heated this morning a few times and realized that it makes perfect sense. Is you want to be on the north side of the lake first thing in the morning. Now the reason for that is if I'm on the east side of the lake, I'm going to catch that morning. I can travel to the west side of the lake, but the longer duration of sun cover is north and south side of that lake, depending on what you're looking at for cover on the lake. And I'm going to tell you why, because the next thing that I switch to when it gets this time of year, I look for that transition. I really pay attention to the water temps. I watch those times when that sun rises, what my cloud cover looks like. I look at what my pressure is going to be like. That's going to determine whether I'm going deep, whether I'm going shallow. But boys and girls, I'm not going to lie to you. This is the time of year I start throwing top water. Devil's Horse, love it. Start pulling things like these guys. These are those what are called skitter walkers, also known as what are they? The crazy topwater walking baits. That's what these are, guys. These are fantastic. This is a big one knocker, as you guys can hear. Big knocker in there. Silent but propellers, guys. This is the time of year that I wait for that transition, right when that water starts warming, depending on whether the pressure's high or the pressure's low. If my pressure's low, guys, I'm going shallow, not all the way to the shallow, but I'll start working my way into some shallow areas that come from deeper cover and catch those fish transitioning from the deep into the shallow, where the bait's also now moving and migrating into. So that's one thing that I know a lot of you guys might think is crazy, but explore top water during that warming trend, that favorable warming trend. Now, would I be throwing top water on that favorable cooling trend? Probably not. I'm probably going to try to stay towards my deeper water because, again, that's where my more constant temperature is. That's what the fish are looking for. Let's see what you guys think. All right, let's see. We got here. What do you think of soft baits this time of year, like the minnow-looking ones? Skrilla, yeah, soft baits are effective all year long. I like big knockers. See, look at that. Kenny agrees with me. Amen, Kenny. Bigger the better, bud. You can never have too many knockers. That's true. Cold in Ohio, in Iowa. Oh, Robert's got some cold there. And Roland does love the Devil's Horse. John, you know, yeah, John knows. And Coastal Fever, Doc, you know. Roland will tell you right now it's Devil Horse season, buddy. You just got to look for you some moving water. The sun's got to be up just long enough. Keep an eye on your fish finder. Keep your eye on that temperature gauge on that fish finder, boys and girls. You're going to see that magic moment where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got 6 degrees up on the water temp. You need to be checking that barometric pressure right about that moment when your brain clicks it on. Because I'm going to tell you, that is an interesting time. Yeah, see, John makes a good point there. Super swimmers right now, big soft plastic paddle tails, those are going to be your big baits right now. Those are going to be your big baits. But try to stay as close to what you see as far as the bait fish in the area. Like a lot of people, they're like, bigger the better, buddy. Well, unfortunately, man, if everything in that area that you're fishing that you've noticed is like 1.5 to 2.5 inches, throwing a 10-inch swim bait all day might just be a waste of time for you because they weren't interested in that. If your goal is to catch fish, you might want to start looking at what the hatch looks like. You know, if you're pushing 4 or 5 inches, that's why the fluke was such an interesting design. Give me 1 second, guys.
Oh, John, no way.
John said the guy he took yesterday went with Roland Shiner fishing today. Oh, that's a dirty dog if I ever seen one. You know what I mean? But guys, this is a really good time for a lot of you guys to really reach out and hit your PB right now. There's a lot going on. Like I said, that first little cold front that came through, that was an unfavorable precondition fishing, but right into a favorable condition right after it, a couple of weeks, because then we had that warming trend, and that warming trend made all the difference. I haven't had a chance to get out fishing, but I've already been getting fishing reports that people are telling me that he gets to fish from the back of the boat. People are telling me that now's the time. There's some stuff going on at all the lakes, you know, and I'm thinking, well, I can get myself involved in some of that as soon as I get this trolling motor ordered. But realistically, guys, like I said, if you're in that same transition, if you're going through and experiencing the same things right now, as far as that first front came through, I know, you know, a lot of you guys, you said, you know, you're suffering right now. You're getting some cooler temperatures. Things are really starting to cool off. Unfortunately for you guys, you don't live in the free state of Florida, because down here, we're still enjoying it like it was, you know, we just don't have to wear a sweater in the morning, or we might put on a second shirt, but by 8:30 in the morning, it's all set. You know, the temperature's already picked up. That's that magic hour that I'm talking about, guys. That's what you're trying to line up. You're trying to line up that warmer top water, because that's where the ambient temperature is going to be on. Remember, we talked about it earlier. The dirtier water, and I don't mean like, you know, chocolate milk dirty. I'm talking about particulate matter in the water will absorb heat, and it'll warm that water up quicker. So as much as you want to look for that clear water in the post, you know, when we get into this fall, you know, season, maybe you look for that hint of stain, you know, that little something in the water, because that water tends to be a few degrees warmer, and if that's what the fish is going to be more comfortable with, they will migrate to that nastier water. You know, not really nasty like unbreathable, unlivable, but at the same time have a little bit more darkness to it, because then the fish can go higher in the water column and not feel as exposed and get more of that temperature change without the fear of anything around it eating it like a big bird. Caught 50 with Roland, huh? Dozen or so below 3 pounds. Broke his PB 3 times. Is it 6 pounds now? It's going to get him a bigger one on Saturday. There you go, John. That's awesome. That's great, John. I'm sure they're fed well there. Yeah, no, I'm not doubting it. If you're out there fishing with Roland Martin, bud, he's going to take you to some spots. He's going to take you to some spots. But guys, poppers, that's another thing, you know, you don't really think about this time of year. Remember, these slow-moving baits, if, you know, setting the bait, again, now, are we using a quick retrieve if we're going to pull something around like this popper? Or if we're going to pull something around like this walk-dog style stick bait? You know, this top water walking dog stick bait. Are we going to pull that real fast? Not really. Not really. I'm going to do the old Roland Martins. I give it a couple of twitches and I wait for the circles to dissipate. You know, and the reason we're waiting for those circles to dissipate is think of those circles like sound waves. You know, that the fish will notice that. He'll see that ripple and then wonder where it came from. And that's what you're looking for. So a real quick whack, 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 whack in the wintertime might not be as successful as you think. So you might burn yourself up there. You might throw yourself for a full day of casting, if you know what I mean. I'm not a big fan of the full day of casting. You know, it's just not for me. Top water could be useful, actually. Water is so calm and almost no boats this time of year if it's not windy. Well, Skrilla, here's the thing. Don't think for a second that fish don't use that moving water as cover. Okay, what I mean by that is when we say things like, we hear us making that reference of look for the moving water. What I mean by that, bud, is like you'll have an area. Here, let's pull up a picture. Let's do it like this. Hold on. God. Let's do this. All right, so you guys can't see, I can't show you guys my cursor right now, but if we were looking at my cursor, where my cursor would be, let me pause this thing where I need it, okay? Because we're gonna look at a few things here. I think it could be kind of fun. Okay, So, as you guys see directly above the camera, all right, where the camera is on the front of the boat, you see where that channel comes in there? We've talked about these little channels and stuff like that. These are just really good references for you guys. So, it's a lot more fun for me when I fish them, but this is just a good reference for you guys. So, that's 8 foot, right? That whole thing runs 8 foot, 8 to 10 foot, all the way down. V's in on both sides. We've got 3 foot on the left. We got 4 foot on the right, all right? To give you guys an idea of what I'm looking at for water depths and stuff like that. Now there's a good 4 foot shelf in between that channel right there, guys. Okay, so the thing you got to remember is that although there might not be fish sitting in there, in the event that all the stars align, right, these fish will come up onto these shallower areas right here and forage. That's what they do. And then they'll return to the more constant temperatures. So what you're going to do, guys, is you're going to put yourself in a position of your slow moving bait being right in that transition. Okay, I would throw me a 3 foot, 4 foot. I wouldn't go as far as a 10 foot jerkbait in there. It'd be ridiculous just pulling it down at the bottom. You're gonna get caught up with sticks and whatever else lives down there. But the thing you want to look for is keeping that bait in the strike zone. That's gonna be a fantastic way to fish this winter, this fall transition period, because there will be bass that are just sitting on the bottom waiting for that bait to cross between the two, sides of the channel, or maybe from one set of lily pads to another. I'm telling you, that's the kind of places that are going to make things happen right now, you guys. That's a short bus bass, said Kenny. That's funny. That is funny. Let's see what we got here. Ugly fish in the lower left. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Armored catfish. There you go. Bearded blowfish. Good night. You guys are too much. Too much. Yeah, that's a cool little addition, though. You guys like that? Like I said, I thought that came in pretty neat, man. It'll make hanging out a lot of fun when we get a chance to hang out. Look at Streambot kicking in. Don't forget to sub if you're new to the channel. If you've never been here on a Tuesday night, which I'm sure all you guys have, make sure to hit the button. I'm getting some after views and stuff like that. People are coming in and hanging out, and that's really cool. I appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. I really do. And it makes it a lot of fun to sit and talk about this kind of stuff, because I want to hear what works for some of you guys too, and that's what's interesting, because I like venturing out myself and trying to figure out what's a little bit different. What am I doing that other people aren't doing that's working for me, or vice versa? What's working for you and that's just I'm not doing. Right now, one of the things I'm not doing is ordering a trolling motor, because I'm still looking. Like I said, it's up and down in the end. Like, the prices are changing daily, it feels. It really feels like the prices are changing daily. I don't know what to tell you. Shake and bake, said Coastal Fever. That's great. Kenny says dynamite works the best. Kenny, I'm sure it does, especially in areas like where I was just fishing. I bet you could find all kinds of stuff. I caught that giant tilapia in that. Remember that? The last Cabela's tournament? That's where I caught that exact spot, man. That's the exact spot. Same cast down that channel is what caught that giant tilapia. I don't know if you guys remember that. I should have made a video of that, because that was kind of funny, that giant tilapia. That was kind of funny. But guys, as this fall transition starts to really kick in and it starts to get into colder temperatures, we're going to start going over some more baits that are really focused on what I like to call the finesse style of fishing, because that time of year comes in. Snag it in the back, John. There's nothing worse than foul hooking a tilapia. Oh my God. First time I ever saw one was a jerkbait foul hooked in the back, same way, across all 3 sets of trebles in the back, across its entire back fin. This thing came up sideways. It was like dragging it in. I had no idea what it was. I wish I had that on camera. Some of this stuff I don't even film, because if I did, it would be way too much fun. It always seems to happen when I'm not on camera. You know what I mean? Fight was on. Yeah, there's no kidding, John. It is an interesting fight pulling up a fish sideways, especially when you start getting into these trebles, boys and girls. And that's another thing we need to talk about. But, guys, before we go, I got to tell you something. All right? Guys, just a secret between us. You can't tell anybody, though. This is the time of year, in case you didn't know, for those of us in the South. I know for those of us in the South. I don't know so much for those of you guys that are somewhere else, but boys, Red. Anything with the reds come this time of year are going to start turning things. They're just going to flip. They're really going to start flipping here real shortly. I'd say that. It gets real interesting on the color, slight color changes. A lot of it has to do with the bass's chemical makeup. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is in their chemistry, but the seasonal change, the entire weather change, and the ambient temperature change, it really has, they start to key on color, and it's really interesting to see that this time of year. But I really do. I start switching everything to red right around November. That end of October towards the beginning of November is when I start switching things over to red, and I've been very successful with it. That's not to say your green pumpkins and things like that aren't going to kill it. It's not to say your silver's not going to kill it. But, you know, I'm just telling you for a little hint, if you're looking for something a little bit different, or you're looking to try something a little bit different in this season, check your color. Really check your color. I find that interesting this time of year. Let's see what we got here. Oh no, I see something crazy. John's gonna wear his red thing tomorrow if it helps. He's gonna wear his red thong. That's fantastic, John. There's gonna be some editing. There will be yeah, your turquoise shirt, John. Perfect. You know, I'll tell you, if it works for some of those other Instagrams, fishermen out there, John, I don't see why it wouldn't work for you, bud. Just keep the ponytail and don't turn sideways. No one would know, John. No one. I'm telling you right now, buddy, you'll have an OnlyFriends account so fast, you wouldn't even know it. Call yourself Mike Honcho. That is good stuff. But guys, that's what I'm doing. And you know, and it's like I said, slowing things down, making things happen. I got a couple more things I'm going to show you guys that I think could change your year. I think could change your season. Again, guys, just so we're all clear, it's big spooks. Okay, 4-inch, 5-inch spooks right now. Again, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but worked slowly, worked methodically. Now I say methodically because listen, it's so hard. I think personally, it's harder on me than it is the fish. To be perfectly honest, it's so much harder for me to come out of coming out of that summer run and get it into the fall transition of whack. Like I start to think, what do I do with my hands? You know, the rod, it's the rod, you know, like I got to do this, and it's not, you know, it really isn't. Even some of your, you know, soft jerkbait, flute fish and stuff like that right now, perfect bait. Again, twitch, 1, 2, 3, twitch, off cadence, twitch, pause, twitch. This is the time of year where the bigger fish are going to be waiting. They're not going to fly around like you would think they would. They're going to search little areas, and those slow pauses, those slow rises on your crankbaits, okay, that little shimmy to a dissipating what do they call it, the little waves, dissipating ripples. Okay, these are all little small subtle things that for some reason the fall transition bass, they grab them, boys. They grab them. Yeah, see, John the Tweaker Twitch, that's what John's been running. John runs the Tweaker Twitch all summer. I mean, I got a buddy, Steve. He's got this topwater worm wiggle. That's what I call it, the worm wiggle. He is just steady rolling worms right across the top of the pow. Summertime, you know, it's on. That's how it works. Will that same presentation work in the fall transition? It does, depending on, like we've been talking about, what's my barometric pressure, what's my water temperature, what's my surface temperature, what's my ambient temperature above the water, and what's my depth. Now we start, like I said, again, guys, these are all things that are going to start to come into play to make you a more successful fall transition bass fisherman. What do you think of that, everybody? That was a lot of fun. Tweaker Twitch works year-round. Coastal Fever, this guy down here, Coastal Fever. Tweaker Twitch works year-round for those of us down south, bud. You know, we've got a different environment. That's why I was just telling the guys. I mean, it's not as... personally, it's way more fun fishing here than it is fishing anywhere else. Just so we're all clear on that. I wouldn't trade Florida fishing for any other state's fishing, to be honest with you. I just couldn't do it.
Look at that. John nails it. John says, if you're full,
if you're full, you won't go in the kitchen if your wife rattles dishes. But if a tweaker rattles your trash can outside, you're going out with an attitude. Look at that. Nailed it. John, year-round tweaker twitcher. Year-round tweaker twitcher. Like I said, the lakes down here are all different. We're blessed here in Florida as far as the southeast and fishing. You get out towards Texas, we're about on that same plane. Some of southern Texas has got the same fishing we've got. But as soon as you break that Georgia line, boy, and you start getting above Alabama, you start getting above Mississippi, things start getting a lot colder and everything starts to get a lot more interesting. But for those of us in the south, we just hope to see like an 82 day, and it's going to be fire. Yeah, Great Lakes, Michigan, Skrilla is getting ready to have that Skrilla's getting ready to have that ice fishing season. That's a rough one, man. Coastal New Hampshire, yeah, weather's always a factor. St. Lawrence River, that's where Faye's at. Yeah, now, they're perfect. Thanks, Faye, for the transition. Guys, this might be a time for some of you that usually fish lakes to maybe think about fishing some rivers, some moving water. You're going to notice that the fish in the moving water keeps a pretty good stable temperature too, depending on where it's coming from. Now, if you're in the north and this is when your trout and things like that, bass won't be as active in these times because that water does get ice cold. But if any of you guys are fly fishermen, this is that good time where it sucks to stand in the water because it's cold. But as long as you got good waders and good thermal socks and some good leggings, you can hang out for hours and catch some of the biggest fish of your life this time of year. But again, that's a totally different style of fishing, Loch Ness and stuff, just giant sturgeon. Yeah, no, we talked about the sturgeon one episode, and that was rather interesting. That was a lot of fun. Pike fishing this time of year. See, yeah, Mark knows. Ice is for fruity drinks, not for fishing. I know, John. We're so blessed. I can't say we take it for granted because we take it for an opportunity. I don't think anybody I've ever met's taking fishing down in the south for granted. We're all in this to win it. That's the thing. We're more competitive fishermen down here in the south than I think I've ever seen. I know it's going to sound crazy, but I'm not kidding you. Us down south guys, man, we turn every trip into a tournament. Every trip's a competition. Every trip's a chance to show your buddy that big fish you caught. And although you might not know you're competing with your buddy that day, you're competing with him. You're competing with him and all of his friends and all of his social media friends and anybody that's ever liked to post. Yeah, it's always a competition. It's always about holding up that big. And like I said, again, if you listen to some of the stuff we've talked about today and you follow some of these people, that are doing these fall transitions in your area, you'll be surprised. Some of these guys, and I don't want to say some of them, everyone has knowledge. It's some way, shape, or form. Everybody's learned something, okay? But whether or not you remember it and you apply it, that's kind of why we keep beating all these things in. And I really have a good time talking with you guys about these things. And I'm hoping these small little things that maybe they weren't always in your mind will start to kick in and you'll realize, okay, well, I got time to go fishing Tuesday. Well, if Tuesday's not a good day, and you want to put yourself through the grind, go for it. I personally don't want to put myself through the grind that day. So you start to kind of pay attention to what you got going on. You want to make sure you know what you're doing and give yourself a little bit different chance at catching different fish, because I can tell you, it might be the day that you end up pulling. Speaking of, is he still in here? Is Doc still in here? Doc, if you're still in here, say something. I don't know if Doc said something. But Doc will tell you, Doc was just using a square bill out at the house and just crushing it on that bruiser bait square bill. That was a pretty good day of fishing there from the bank, if I do say so myself. And that was, what was that? I was wondering, is that a channel? Was that a channel, Doc, that you were in? A moving channel, or was that a lake access area like a canal? Hey, Rod, look at this guy. Rod coming in right down here. Where's he at? Rod Slug made it. Hey, thanks for hanging out, Rod. Nice. So that was a lake. Yeah, that was a fantastic. No lake. Oh, no lake. Okay, gotcha. So it wasn't a lake. It was a canal, or was it? Because it was fantastic, man. You were right in the spot, bud. I can't lie to you. Like, it was not every cast. I know you were out there grinding realistically, but there was a few times that it was pretty quick on the cast. You were targeting that for sure. Skrilla says he knows for sure in Lake Erie. Yeah, it was a lake. Oh, look at that. See, you were just on a heck of a spot, bud. That's what I'm talking about. But again, square bill. Look at that, man. You know, it's getting to that time of year. You put that square. That's a 1 to 3, right? If I'm not mistaken, 1 to 3 foot, Doc. Should have put a com. Okay. I'm lost. You lost me, bud. But like I said, yeah, I think that's a 1 to 3 foot or a 3 to 5 foot diver. Nice little square bill. Again, guys, it's all about presentation. He slowed it down. If you guys haven't seen that video, as a matter of fact, if you haven't seen that and you're new here, or you don't know who Coastal Fever is, guy does some really neat stuff. He put out a really cool little bait video, and what was neat about it is he verbalized the thought processes. First, he had to burn it, and it worked. He caught a smaller fish. You could see that fish was more active, more aggressive, a younger fish, hasn't really learned his fighting style. And then he makes the mental note, but he says it aloud, maybe I should slow it down. And the minute he slowed it down, no, it was actually 8 feet in the area I was fishing. Oh, okay. See, there you go. Deeper water transition. But again, he slowed his cadence down. And he literally, you could see it, like he was verbalizing what he was doing, which is something that's not easy to do, by the way. Just so you know, guys, when you're standing out there by yourself talking to yourself on a fishing show, it's not, you look odd. But he did a really good job of verbalizing that maybe I should try to slow this down, see if I could develop a pattern. And right off the bat, as soon as he slowed down his cadence, gave himself a little pause here and there, bang, bigger fish. And he said, okay, either that was a fluke or it's going to happen again. I mean, he stayed with that same slow cadence, gave himself that pause, bang, bigger fish, bang, bigger fish. I think his big was like a 6-pounder, which was crazy. The guy, I mean, it was fantastic, but he put all the elements that we talk about, because these aren't new things, guys. This is just the way it works. This is just the lingo. But he verbalized all the elements of the pattern of what he was doing. He could have burned that bait back all day and dink, 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 dinked it up, but he didn't. He made those little changes, and the fish became larger, and that was neat to see that he applied the stuff that, you know, we all should know and we learn, and it all goes out the window once there's nothing biting. You know, you're running through, you're cutting off, you got 12 rods, you guys know the deal, it never changes. But sometimes just verbalizing the things that we've talked about, that little reminder, oh wait, you know, pressure's high. Okay, they're going deep. You know what I mean? Why am I in 3 foot of water when the pressure's high? Oh, look at that. We're in a high pressure to low pressure exchange, but unfortunately we're going in low pressure. I need to start moving towards the shallow because the fish are going to come in toward the shallow. Or you're going to do what I did on the live the other day. Start out in the fish transition, and instead of moving yourself toward the mouth where it's going to be deeper, you move yourself toward the back of the canal where it's shallower, and you don't catch any fish for the rest of the day. So again, guys, these are all things to think about during the fall transition every time you go fishing, but mainly now it's going to start to apply a lot more. And I think a lot of you guys will enjoy this. You'll have more success. You'll give yourself some more options. You'll find yourself catching more fish. And if I'm wrong, leave a comment below and say, Jay, bro, no, that's not how it worked for me. All right. And we can discuss it. Where are you at? What's different? What was your water temperature? You know, we'll go through the science and really make this a lot of fun, you guys. Secret Ice Fishing, bring a McDonald's hamburger, chum it up with the bun, then the meat. There you go. There you go. All right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate everybody hanging out, man. This has been a real good time tonight. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I'm glad I got to show you the neat little chat thing. I think you guys will like that. Mark, you bring the beer. No kidding. Boat flip. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad you guys we got a chance to talk about this tonight because I'm going to apply some of these things over the next couple of weeks. I got the trolling motor should be coming in, if not first thing next week, mid next week, because I'll pull the trigger on that this weekend when I have some more time to sit down and really pay attention to what I got going on because there's no telling I'm still a toss up with what direction we're going, boys and girls. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be an 80-pound 24-volt Minn Kota. I already know it. The 4Trex, I've already got it in my cart. I got it in like 3 different carts. One's already changed prices, but it went a little bit lower, but I'm like, wow, it could go a little bit lower by the weekend. You never know, you know what I'm saying? So you know me, Mr. Procrastination over here, just I can't bring myself to spend money sometimes, and then I'll spend it all and then be like, oh, I gotta do it again. But at the same time, guys, listen, I appreciate everybody coming out. Big shout out to everybody that's been here. I hope everything is a-okay with everybody this week. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I will see you all next Tuesday, 7:15, same beard time, same beards channel. Don't forget, you guys, it's been real. It's been fun. We'll see you guys on the next one. See ya!